Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library. SeaQuest DSV. Boy, I hope that's related to C-Lab 2021. Sadly, it isn't. This is a game based instead on a different TV show from the early 90s. The show was an adventure show with light science fiction elements about a deep-sea submarine in the far-off future year of 2018 going on underwater adventures. I've never seen the show, but it has a ridiculous history. After the first season, the show took a wild turn into aliens and time travel and other absurdity, which apparently the lead star of the show, Roy Schneider, absolutely hated. Then the show took another turn into a more dark political drama in season 3 before being abruptly cancelled mid-season. Man, how have I never heard of this show? It sounds like a train wreck in all the best ways. But hey, it was popular in the 90s, or at least it existed in the 90s, and thus a game was made. Originally developed by Sculptured Software for the SNES and Genesis, the game had an interesting mix of isometric, scrolling shooter, action, and even some management gameplay as you sent the SeaQuest out on various missions. But that doesn't really matter, because the Game Boy release was a completely different game, made instead by Unexpected Development. They were a small company that mostly made Game Boy games, such as RoboCop vs. Terminator, which I enjoyed. Just try to ignore the fact that they also made the Game Boy port of Shaq Fu. We don't talk about that game. Even if you haven't heard of the show, this box art is more than enough to sell you on the game. The bright, vibrant undersea colors, the awesome Sea Explorer, the giant Kraken, and even an action dolphin that definitely doesn't need an oxygen tank. What more do you want? Actually, I know what more I want. A free poster, baby! We're diving deep for this one. Let's head under the sea for SeaQuest DSV. Amblin Television and Malibu Games. Wow, everyone worked on this. And I also got their logo surprisingly right with that random arrow sign. Ooh, SeaQuest. Where it's DSV is on here too, right? Oh, it was hidden in the shark the whole time. SeaQuest DSV, a show I've never heard of until this episode came up. Okay, let's see what this is all about. Renegades have been sinking UEO cargo ships with radioactive material, recover the canisters, save the ecosystem, sonar to find salvage destinations for the SeaQuest. Here we are. Are we? Why are we a giant squid? Wait, why are we a giant squid? Was their ship a giant squid? Ooh, okay. A to get distance to target. So I'm guessing we're looking for something. Oh god, please don't ram into. Darn it. What did I do? Oh, I hit select and it dropped a thing. Music's alright. Graphics are okay. I like the ship turn animation. Actually, controls are a little bit slippery. Not too slippery, but definitely enough where it's noticeable. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. It's this one. Now we hit select. We've located the sunken freighters. The damaged ship is unstable. Send in the probe. What am I? What is this abomination of science? It's like a glasses with legs? Oh, I see. Now it's a little mini collectathon. And you have to... ooh, the controls here are not as good, though. It is extra slippery around here. Was that a piano? And you know, if we could just pause for a second and look at this background, I love the way that it's wobbling. It adds just a lovely little sense of being underwater. And is this a... This is. I can't go, down. Oh, the slowdown, though. Oh, the slowdown. Oh, the slowdown. You know what this is reminding me of? Earthworm Jim had a section where you have to guide a glass, bubble through underwater. And if you touch the walls, you'll take a lot of damage. And so you have to go very, very slow, but there's also a time limit. This reminds me of that, and not in a good way. Oops, I got electric eeled. Oops. Do I have to start it all over? Yes. You have to touch it with your back legs? What am I? I have to imagine this was a thing on the show, whatever the hell this is. It's just horrifying, and I hate it. Wait, no, get me out. Oh god, when you're being pushed by that thing, the game slows to a crawl. So, I did try to look up a guide just to see how long the game is. There's no guides available for the game. No one played this. I could, in fact, though, find the manual. And the manual did say there are 7 stages. I would like to check out the next mission, just to see if it's the same. Or if they mix it up with each one. Maybe each one... I kind of hope each one has different gameplay mechanics. I don't hate this, but it's also not really grabbing my attention. Now, my question is this taking place in the first season, where it was just about undersea adventures? Or Season 2, when it was about, like, aliens and time travel? Or Season 3, when it turned into a political drama? This show apparently went through a lot. I don't even know, does anyone remember this show? Was it popular at all? I genuinely have zero memory of SeaQuest. Man, this is actually, the more I play this, the more dull it is. There's very little gameplay variance. Oh, and I'm almost dead, too. If I don't win this, I will... Okay. I'm gonna check really quick to see how the missions change. Give me just a sec. Okay, so each of the missions in the game use a different undersea vehicle. Some can shoot, some can go faster, some can shoot like little pulses. In one of them, you're out of it, and you're just as a person. But they all do follow the same general rule of run around picking up canisters. So there is at least some variance, but it's pretty minor. I've certainly played worse. I've certainly played way, way worse. But this game is also just, it's a little too bland to be enjoyed, you know? I'm sure if you want a quick little collect-a-thon, you could have some fun with this one. But I also think there's not enough meat here. There's not enough meat on the bones of this game to really give it a solid recommendation. Well, I guess I could recommend it to all the diehard SeaQuest DSV fans out there. All 3 of you. Well, I may not remember the show, but at least the game is pretty forgettable too. I always appreciate games that go for multiple gameplay styles. Especially on the Game Boy, it adds so much depth and keeps things fresh. But with this game, while they didn't totally botch it, I don't quite think it worked out. The large submarine gameplay was fine, a sort of pseudo-shooter where you had to dodge and blow up enemies as you search for the location of your next mission, with some basic exploration mechanics added in. And the mission gameplay was fine too, a bit slippery in the controls, but moving around was mostly okay, and the game provided a solid challenge while you gathered items. And as I said, each of the different missions had varied vehicles and gameplay, which is quite welcome. It was all fine. But when all of the elements of a game are just fine, it means that the final result is gonna be, well, fine, but not really excel or stand out in any way. Nothing about playing this game ruined it, but nothing really grabbed me either. It was just a bunch of moving around and collecting things, occasionally shooting some missiles. I guess the graphics and sound were above average, but hardly enough to really sell the game. And while I do appreciate the variety of vehicles that come in later missions, it looks like the gameplay differences aren't really enough to be a game changer. It all just feels very samey and bland across the board. I do not hate this game. In fact, I could see myself going back and giving it another try, and maybe liking it a bit more. But as a first impression, it didn't really hook me the way that other games like it had. The game isn't awful in any way, shape, or form, but it doesn't do enough in any department to really stand out. And it just leaves me wanting a game based on the real best underwater show. I miss you, Sea-Lab. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm Brian J, and I'll see you next time.